Hello, everyone. Well, it's 2:30 p.m. 26 um, on July 26th, and as I was promoting this lecture or this conversation in my different channels or social media, including WhatsApp. This is the invitation, but more like an introduction of the uh, Tubeyat, the day of the love and soulmates, according to the Jewish mysticism or Jewish tradition. Okay, just give me a second. I'm waiting. I'm gonna give some minutes uh, for someone who is trying to get access to this live stream. So, in the meantime, I'm going to set my lights, and it's gonna take only 1 second. Okay, I think it's better right now, and I am ready to start. But I'm still waiting for someone else, so it won't be long. And maybe in the meantime, I'm going to share the presentation here. Okay, this is the presentation and the introduction. Okay, with this, okay, so I'm going to start with this introduction saying that, first of all, by thank you for joining on this journey toward the self and on the journey of the or personal development. As we approach to the, as I said, to the full moon of the month of Leo in the Hebrew calendar, and as we continue our study of Kabbalah. And in that context, the full moon marks the full moon in this month of Leo marks the festival of Tu B'Av, which literally means the 15th of Av, AB, referring to the 15th day of the month of Av, which in astrological tradition is connected to Leo. Leo, the astrological sign, zodiac astrological sign. But symbolically, so it represents two great energies. I mean, the Tu B'Av represents the matching of two great energies, reaching their maximum affinity and connection on that specific day, and that, of course, in the nightfall of next July 28, 2026. And I am talking about the solar energy related to the energy of giving, and the lunar energy associated with the energy of receiving. This carries many further implications, which we will continue to unfold as these talks progress. But for now, I mention it simply as an introduction. And today, we are going to talk about what love is from the perspective of Kabbalah or Jewish mysticism. But I want to say my intention is not to tell you what love is, because as well, as we're gonna see through today's talk, and it evolves over the next 2 days. The concept of love have been understood differently across different cultures throughout history. And with that, we have to recognize that each of us carries our own ideas or own concept of what love is. Perhaps one thing we could agree to today, and could have agreed on 1,000 years ago, is that love is something good for us, for others, and for the creation. And I am convinced that right now, more than ever in the history, is something we need both individually and collectively. And for this reason, um, when controversy arises around the origin of Kabbalah as its connection to the Judaism, uh, when I see the rejection toward anything that appears Jewish or from Israel, my answer is this: that it's true that those who hold the threads of power in the world know perfectly how Kabbalah works, but also the use of other mystical and esoteric tools for human control. But even so, those tools, they are the slavery of the humanity. So can be used for good and for evil purposes. And this could happen in every level, in the physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, and all of them together. And I know this understanding doesn't reach everyone at this depth, with this depth of understanding, whatever their philosophical, religious, or spiritual path might be. And for that reason, those of us who say, or who we think that we have arrived at that level of awareness, these tools can be used for individual and collective good, carry a great responsibility to share them and to do something good with that information. So, wanting to be consistent with that and coherent, I am bringing this talk to you completely free. As I said, I'm not here to tell you what love is, but to share a personal vision draw from my own study in Kabbalah. And with that in mind, let's begin the first part of today's talk on the theme of love from the perspective of Kabbalah, with the question, what is love in Kabbalah? But before we do it, let's talk about a series of definitions and concepts across history to see how this concept has evolved. To begin, we have a widely accepted and complete definition of what love is in the current time, saying that love is a complex affective bond that integrates three essential dimensions: a biological component, the drive for attachment and caregiving; an emotional component characterized by intimacy and passion; and an ethical behavioral component expressed through commitment and the deliberate choice to give. Together, these dimensions manifest a sustainable orientation toward promoting well being for another person. So now we have a first definition of what love is. Although discourse this current concept isn't is be the same or the one that existed 1,000 years ago. So let's look how this concept has evolved through history and across different cultures and civilization. And for that reason, I find convenient to trace the roots of the word love. We reach back to the Proto-Indo-European root love, luth. I don't know really what is the pronunciation of this word, but this is how I found it. And this root was as originally described or associated with caring, to desire, to cherish, to approve, or to hold dear. Then we can see this earliest conception of dates back around 4,500 years BCE. From there, this concept passed into Proto-Germanic as Luvo or Luvona around the year 500 BCE, referring to affection and attachment. Here. Then the concept migrated into the words migrated into the Old English as Lufu. Again, I don't know if this is the right pronunciation, but this is the word used in the Old English. Dating around 450 years CE after Christ, again referring to affection, kindness, and friendship. Then in the Middle English, in the Middle Age, the word love came into use. It was used for the first time around the year around the 11th century, referring to romantic love, familiar love, and divine love. And from there, since around the year of 1,500 in the present age, to the present age, we use the concept we know today, a deep esteem along with attachment, devotion, and romantic love. But across cultures and civilizations, this concept has also been perceived very differently throughout history. And we can see in this chart that around the year 4000 BCE in ancient Mesopotamia, love was associated with fertility and creative force. Around the year 2500 BCE in ancient Egypt, it was associated with social and family harmony. Around the year 800 BCE, in the ancient Greeks began the classification of different types of love. If we remember, in the ancient Greek culture, with philosophy, they start classifying different kind of love, like eros, agape, and among others. But by around the 400 years before Christ, in the same Greek, when it was the flourishment of philosophy of Plato and Aristotle, love come the pursuit of the truth and the virtue. And by the first century in our era, with early Christianity, the universal concept of unconditional love emerged. And by the seventh century, with the rise of the Islam, we find the concept of love and compassion in union with God, with Allah. But it was until the Middle Ages in medieval Europe that the idealized concept of court law appeared with the tales of princes and castles. And it was only until the 19th century, with the rise of Romanticism in Europe, that we get the idea of romantic love as we know it, passionate love, and the concept of soulmates. By the 20th century, with the arrival of modern psychology, love became understood as a psychological bond. And today, in the 21st century, with the rise of neuroscience, we have a much broader concept on that connects biological, psychological, social, and the spiritual phenomena, taking back some other concepts from according to the advance of the civilizations. And for this reason, I'm sorry, I'm gonna drink some water. And for this reason, I said that the idea or the concept of love has not always been what we think is today. Maybe we can have a, a broader idea, or maybe we can say that it doesn't exist or is like a human invention. But depending on the cycle of influence each of us belongs to, is our own definition and perception of love. And that might differ and is something that uh, worth to be deeply respected. So I respect the idea of love of everyone's. But since the purpose of this talk is to share that personal view of love, I'm going to use the Kabbalistic tree of life to trying to explain uh, what love is. So, as we can see in this slide, we have a sequence of spheres or sephirot, each of them numbered and associated with a part of the human body. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'll try to give a brief explanation of two things: the tree of life itself, and a specific association with love. So, in this slide, the tree of life is divided into three worlds. In this slide, the creation is divided in one, two, three, but we have three different levels here, two different levels here, because the other is the connection to the infinite from here. So at the very top of the tree of life is the world that connects with the infinite, is the one that I'm telling you that connects the infinite with the beginning of the creation of this universe or whatever. And connect and that sphere connects with the infinite or with the divine or God or whatever you want to call it, to say it. And this is the world from which everything that exists and everything that could ever exist flows. From that reason is called the world of emanation, absolute. So that's why it's circled here. Is an emanation from the infinite. Next, okay, another thing that I want to say is we have three columns: the right column, the left column, and central one. So in the left column, next comes the world of creation, where ideas are organized and where the creative process begins, like settings into motion. The in I'm sorry. Let me organize my ideas. I am using this attribute of organizing ideas. Okay, let me drink some water. Okay, so the information emanated from the infinite are organized in this level, starting the creative process to jump into the world of formation, which is the lower one next to the Bria creation. But this level is also known as emotional world. And this is where we're going to focus on the study for love. And everything from these upper worlds, including the world of formation, should be reflected in the physical world through concrete actions. In other words, through conscious manifestations that are coherent with the alignment of the three worlds above. So I am talking about the world of ASEAN or the physical world. And now let's go through each of the stages or each of the dimensions or sephirot known individually. They are known individually as sephira and collectively or in plural as sephirot. And we're going to begin with the sephira of Keter. The meaning is the crown, but this represents the highest connection to the infinite source where everything exists as the unity of the potential infinite. The place from where all ideas and all energies or whatever originates in the infinite. And in the human body, this sephira is associated with the pineal gland or with the functions of the pineal gland. Keter corresponds to what is known in Buddhism as the crown chakra. Because when we meditate, when we dream, or when we enter to altered states of consciousness, we access at this level through the visualization through the functions of the pineal gland. Following the numerical sequence of the Sephirot, as the flow descending from the divine planes toward the material ones, we come to the second sphere or Sephirah known as Chokmah or Chokmah, representing the wisdom of everything, associating with the emanation coming from the infinite source. Chokmah sits on the right-hand column, associated with mercy, expansion, and love. And That's why we're going to focus on the right column or uh, the right side of the tree, but combined with the other Sephiroth in the world of formation, because it's the emotional world. So this is why in Kabbalah is said that the very first idea of creation, or the very uh, first intention of creation, was connected to love, because it was the first giving. So the infinite tried to give to someone, but there was no someone, so create someone to start giving to him or to it. So if Keter was associated with the pineal gland, Chokmah is associated with the right hemisphere of the brain, through which intuitions or intuitive thoughts flows, holding within the wisdom of the whole, of the everything, or the unity. Then, in the third sphere, known as Binah, represents the understanding and refers to the rational understanding we derive from that first emanation of wisdom behind intuition. I mean, the capacity to organize the information coming from the infinite. Not in this level, I don't have only the intuition. I have the capacity to organize the information and begin creating something from that information emanated from the infinite. And for this reason, it's associated with the left side of the brain, where structured thoughts, order, and organization takes place. And with that, we complete the highest plans of creation, so the highest levels of creation, so emanation and creation. Once a plan of action has been established and set into motion, the energy begins to move. Hence, the name emotions, which begins with the first or the primordial emotion of love. This is why the Sephirah of Chesed is connected to giving, mercy, and love. And this is why the first emotion is love. In the study of Kabbalah, the emotional world starts with love. And from here to the lower Sephiroth, they are only ramifications of love. And so Hesed refers to unconditional love, to giving without expecting anything in return. And we know this requires a certain level of generosity and compassion. And everyone experiences at least once in our lives. But maybe the most, the clearest example of this is the love of a mother, because the mother gives everything to their babies, knowing that they are not going to receive anything in return. And and is constant, is it has a perdurance in time until maybe 20 years or 40 years or whatever. Always that the mother is going to be in favor to do to their uh, sons or daughters or whatever. But there's There can also be a distortion of this stage because sometimes we fall into dependency or excess, trying to give what we don't have, or giving without wisdom, or giving without limits. And from there flows the logic of the next sphere called Gebura. Is the home to the attributes of the desire, the power, and boundaries. And worth noting here that each of these dimensions of the emotional world can be related one to another. And this is what is known in Kabbalah or in the Jewish tradition, like the counting of the Omer or Omer count. But for now, I'm just gonna focus on in the in the first stage, the love how interacts with the other emotional spheres. So in Geburan, love expresses itself through the desire to receive in order to give. The desire to receive what the other person has to give, understood as sharing. Because because results are useless for someone who loves me, or if other people wants to give me what they lovingly wish to give, if I have no desire to receive what they want to give me. And sometimes, oh sorry, I don't lose my internet connection. I am experiencing some electrical outages, but okay, I'm going to continue. And I was saying that um, maybe sometimes we don't want to receive what other people who love us want to give us something, and we don't want. And sometimes we see this when we try to yell at someone by saying, "I don't want anything from you," or "I don't need anything from you." And love also expresses itself here through the power to care for myself and for other people I love. In the body, this is associated with the left arm. And here we can find also distortions, like moments when love turns into harm, control, punishment, anger, or emotional coldness disguised as tough love. Who have heard about the tough love? Okay. Next, at the center of the emotional world, we find the Sephirah of Tiferet. Tiferet this is the home of beauty, harmony, and balance. As its attributes suggest here, we find a balance between giving and receiving, integrating compassion, truth, and justice. This is why Tiferet is associated with the heart. Just as Buddhism, again, there is a heart chakra. But up to this point, we've been talking about more individualized love because the individual recognition, as an individual recognition of my own capacity to give, to receive, and to hold an inner balance. Because Tiferet represents the self. So if you cannot love yourself, If you don't recognize yourself as a loving person, you cannot love someone else, as we're gonna see in the lower spheres. But the distortions we can find in this sephira are when this awareness of uh, of the self-perception of the self-perception turns into pride, ego, narcissism, or the need to be admired rather than the need to be loved or to share with someone else the love I have to give. Then in the next sphere is called Netzach, associated with the victory, the persistence, and the discipline. Here, love expresses itself as passion, um, the love I have to give, expressed through doing what I am passionate about persistently, over time, and with discipline. And from this comes a genuine commitment, but to myself and to others. One that also motivates growth and the pursuit of a shared goal. In the body, this is associated with the right leg and right kidney. And the distortion of love we can find in this level, in this dimension, are when love turns into obsession, toxic positivity, jealousy, addiction, and or uncontrolled passion. At the same level, in the left hand side, comes the sephira called Hod, Hod, understood as splendor, humility, and structure. Here, the love of Hesed is expressed through verbal communication, gratitude, honesty, and the recognition of the other. In other words, recognizing that all the love I have to give, it worth nothing unless I have the humility to see that the source of my love doesn't come from me, but comes from levels beyond my own understanding. And that is not good if I don't recognize in the other the same divine attributes that I have. So, with that humility, okay, I see the divinity in me, but in the same way, I have the humility to see that anyone else and anything has the same divine attributes. And in the body, this energy is represented by the left leg and the left kidney. And the distortions here, the love can be distorted into manipulation through lies, passive aggressive behaviors, emotional games, and intellectual pride, because it has to do with the intellectual structure and verbalized structure language. Next, we return to another point of balance located in the central column. I'm talking about the Sephira of Yesod, is the home to foundation and connection. And this is where we find the connection to our social relationships, like family, friendship, a romantic partnership. And when I'm talking about a partnership at this level, I'm talking about of the realm where sexual relationship take place. Correspondingly, the associated part of the human body are the sexual organs, where the most basic form of connection occurs and is closest to the physical connection. But we can have also, actually, is where we can encounter or realize the most of the distortions in the connection of love. We can find here when love turns into an illusion, lust, dependent fantasy, emotional confusion, or sexual imbalance. And in the densest or most tangible dimension of the tree of life, we arrive precisely at the physical world, what we perceive as reality. I'm talking about the Sephira of Malchut related to the kingdom. It's called the kingdom, but it's related to the physical world or physical reality. And here love is expressed through concrete, genuine actions like care, giving, honesty, the desire for others' well being, with beauty, with persistence, with humility, with fairness, and with sharing in everyday life.